Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the INTERN-net news right here on Oneofus.net. Now, if you like what we're doing, you can head over to Oneofus.net and see loads and loads of really great content. We've got podcasts, articles, infinite variations, which is a radio show for nerds. It's really great. You can subscribe to these videos, and it's the 23rd of November today. It's about 5-6 o'clock, and I am about to get ready to go see
Day of the Doctor, and looking forward to it. It should be pretty good. Well, anyway, welcome to Oneofus.net. Feel a bit different, but I can get used to this. If you could go back in time, or go forward, where would you go and what would you do?
I'm not sure. I guess a lot of people say that they would go back to big significant events and see them, like Jesus or the end of the dinosaurs or something like that. So I don't know if I would do that or go back to a point in my own personal history, try and change what happened, or fuck up what happened, I guess. I maybe go back to Titanic. Yeah, get cast. No, I've always wanted to. I used to have an obsession with the ship and the architecture, so I would go back to Titanic and just enjoy the trip until I had to leave.
You still going to the gym?
No. Oh, gym. No, but Netflix instead. Okay, so Jeff, you're back.
I am. Hello.
Hello. How are you going?
How am I going?
How are you going?
By bus.
Cool. Yeah, buses are good. Yeah. So you're hopefully regular new co-host. Wow, I know, right? You've been promoted in life, which is good.
I have a purpose in my life.
It's good because we used to podcast very regularly. We don't anymore. Well, we technically do now.
So that sentence was invalid.
It was, yeah. I'm just kind of filling up time, basically.
Yeah, why not? It's all good.
Yeah, and basically it allows us to get together, chat, drink tea, hopefully get scones. Hopefully get scones in the coming weeks. You know, we used to like getting the bitches to make some scones. Cake, drugs, whatever fancies us.
Awesome.
So let's get started. So in the introduction where I regenerated into you.
Did you?
So by that logic, we're both the same person. So we should keep we should keep that canon going, you know, throughout the episodes. Yeah, same person. You're not a fan of Doctor Who, are you?
I've never watched it.
Okay.
It's not that I don't like it. I've never watched it. And I don't know why, because it does seem quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it's been going on so long. It's like, well, where do I start with watching it?
Yeah, I mean, a few people have recommended either just starting from the Matt Smith kind of era, but then some people have, you know, like the fanboys of or girls of David Tennant, you know, say go back there, and then a few people have said the Christopher Eccleston as well, so. But then once you kind of get into that, it's like, well, then where do I go? Far back. So.
You know what I always say? I always give people a list of recommended episodes. Because some episodes
I have seen a couple of episodes.
Good. Yeah.
Like I saw the end of the David Tennant era, the one with Timothy Dalton.
Oh yeah. Did you watch it because Timothy Dalton was in it?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Not the best of episodes.
No, a lot of people have said that to be honest, and Dominic actually, because he is a big Doctor Who fan. he was saying that that he really liked Timothy Dalton's character, or like how he played it, but they didn't do enough with him.
Yeah. Well, I went to see the 50th anniversary episode in the cinema at the weekend, and I won't bother explaining what happened. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I do have an interesting story relating to it. So I had to queue up for like half an hour, which is a pain in the arse, and then we had about 40 minutes of waiting.
Was this at the cinema?
In the cinema, yeah. So before it started, we sat down and there was like 40 minutes to wait. And the place was getting really, really busy. There was some people dressed up. And there was these two really obnoxious teenagers sitting behind me who were making fun of the people coming in, dressed up. And it's like, you're at a Doctor Who.
Were they like all spotty?
And it's like, why are you here if not to celebrate the fact that it's the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who? It bugged me.
What really... What I just find it funny that, like, you know, I don't know if it is because it's this kind of stereotypical thing. When you get older, you think, oh, I was never like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was on the bus the other day, and just because you mentioned teenagers, there was a couple of teenagers on the bus, and they're like, you know, I'm a celebs on again at the moment. We mentioned it the last episode, but it was last year's.
With Helen Flanagan.
With Helen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
you can go back and watch that episode because I put pictures of Helen Flanagan, so that's a good one way to sell the episode.
So I was on the bus, and these, you know, just because you mentioned it briefly, they were on about like this woman that, well, it's a model, Miss Universe or whatever, that's in this season, and they're like, oh, the things I would do to her.
Nice.
Oh, and it's like, your balls haven't even dropped. So I just thought it was quite funny, but
yeah,
that's a wee bit of a tangent.
But people just saying random shit for no reason.
Yeah, I just think it's funny.
But what really did actually impress me was there was a lot of fangirls, as you mentioned, sitting, and they were all sitting talking about Doctor Who, and I realised...
because, well, I doubt it's spoilers because you probably already know this, and it's like the one thing I do know from the episode is like David Tennant came back. But
really? I never noticed.
Oh, maybe he didn't then. Is that for the Christmas?
No, he did. I'm pissing you.
Oh.
Pissing you?
I was just making, because I never watched it, I wasn't sure if, like, you know, it was maybe, because I know they do a Christmas special as well.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, it was a multi-Doctor story, so there was Matt
yeah.
Smith, David Tennant, and John Hartman.
Yeah. But yeah, I know a lot of girls were going for David Tennant. So.
But what impressed me was I kind of clicked why the shows lasted so long. Like all these girls, they were almost deconstructing storytelling. They were talking about how Stephen Moffat, the showrunner and the head writer, writes stories and how they relate to each other. And like they weren't doing it on a conscious level. Like, let's analyze the subtext and stuff of literature, but that's what they were doing. And the fact that they were doing it just casually, I was like, this show is fucking genius. Like, it's getting people to actually intellectually think about TV. Whereas you look at something like I'm a Celebrity, and the only thing
Come on, that's good quality TV right there.
Yeah, if you want to see a guy with a six pack who doesn't know where Wales is in comparison to fucking Russia. So that really impressed me, and
quality.
A lot of all the time through the episode there was a lot of crying and screaming and squealing, and that was just
Even
for me.
Even though I've never watched Doctor Who, I have heard a lot of people talking about Stephen Moffat's writing.
Yeah.
And it is because I know that he didn't write the majority of the David Tennant.
No, that's right.
No.
Yeah.
So like apparently, like a lot of people, especially Doctor Who, like big Doctor Who fans, seem to really love the Matt Smith era because Stephen Moffat came back, and you know it has been. That's one thing that I do know is that the quality of writing has improved quite a lot.
Sometimes it's hit and miss because he does a lot of. He really does play on like the time travel element of it. Yeah. So.
Well, not every episode's going to be 10 out of 10, but.
No, sometimes what he does is he does like these big long story arcs, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But I mean that's the thing. Like the good thing about Doctor Who is if you don't like the episode that's just been on, it doesn't matter because the next episode's going to be totally different. So yeah, you could always just get into it with Peter Capaldi.
True.
Who spoilers, was in the 50th anniversary. Very briefly.
At the end,
so. Over on One of Us, there is a really good review. There's also a review for An Adventure in Space and Time, which was the dramatisation of how they got the show together in the first place.
Oh, okay.
Which features David Bradley playing William Hartnell and Brian Cox.
Our very own Brian Cox.
Our very own Brian Cox, who Jade, my partner, was just working with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bitch.
I shook his hand 4 times. Well, twice. He shook my hand twice as well.
Ooh, shaking hands.
I know. He was impressed.
Good guy.
Yeah, he is actually. Yeah. He's one of these guys that is quite genuine.
Very dedicated to his work with the university as well.
He's quite passionate about quite a lot of things at the moment. Yeah. I know one thing.
I'm a celebrity.
No, like one thing, the 2 main kind of things that he is quite passionate about at the moment is his work with Dundee University.
Yeah.
The other, quite recently, has been for Scottish independence, because obviously that is a big thing in Scotland at the moment.
Yeah.
And I know that quite recently, because he has, like, this is his own words, basically, that because he's getting older, he doesn't have that fear of like upsetting people, or keeping his opinions to himself.
Yeah.
Because he is at an age where he feels it's time that he could just say whatever he wants, basically. And
but bitch is Brian Cox. Who's going to argue with him?
True. But yeah, he is quite a passionate man. So
yeah,
he's really nice guy.
Cool. Well, yeah. So I recommend you go check out the reviews if you haven't seen it, or go check out the episodes. They're on iPlayer and they're brilliant.
I don't know. I'd like to go to the future.
Yeah. How far into the future would you go?
Well, depends if I only got like a one-way trip.
Oh, okay. That does make it different. If you only have one way, what would you do?
Ooh.
I mean, because you could go back before, or just when you're growing up or something, make your life better.
If I was to go back, I'd go back.
Go back.
Don't know why, because I know a lot of people would, but it seems quite stupid for obvious reasons. But it made me go back to like World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had a fascination with that period of time. I think it's quite interesting. If I was to go into the future, I would either go to the year 2099.
Yeah.
Or maybe the year 3000, just to see if it was like Futurama.
Yeah, that's a good.
See if there's any cigar smoking robots called Bender.
Living in a cupboard. Yeah. It's a good one. Okay, Jeff, you like comic books, don't you?
No.
You've got a very a good collection, would you say? A decent collection?
No, I've got the best.
The best collection.
Yeah. I've got some pretty. It's quite bad actually. I've got some pretty good comics.
Yeah. Well, you've got. I mean, the comics you've got are good enough that you keep them in a metal suitcase.
Yeah, that's guarded by my dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got I recently, sad bastard. I recently got one that was signed. I think it was Daredevil issue 5 that was signed by Stan Lee. Don't know where I got the money for it, but I eventually did get it.
Nice.
And it's like one of my.
Yeah.
I've also, I think one of my favourite comics, just sounds like a dick and a dork. It's probably the first appearance of Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got that for one thing. I don't really collect stuff. I've never really collected anything. Yeah. But when I was younger, a friend gave me a set of comic books, and it kind of got me into it slightly. So every now and again, I do like to, treat myself and get a comic and that.
Do you ever go to car boot sales or
I actually
things like that and try and find that one bargain? Find a Superman one for £1 or something like that.
Scotland. I've always wanted to, but I never have.
Yeah. You should watch Comic Book Men, seriously.
Yeah, you said that before.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, anyway, so you'll be familiar with Alan Moore. Alan Moore.
Yeah.
He created things like Watchmen. He wrote The Killing Joke.
He did.
Oh,
I've also got first print of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It is actually, it's one of the best Batman works.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really, really good.
Notice the two things I said there are very adult things. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alan Moore has recently said he's kind of took a stab at things like the Avengers. He basically said this: I haven't read any superhero comics since I finished with Watchmen. He hates superheroes. He thinks they're abominations. They don't mean what they used to mean. They were originally in the hands of writers who would actively expand the imagination of their 9 to 13-year-old audience. That was completely what they were meant to do, and they were doing it excellently. These days, superhero comics think the audience is certainly not 9 to 13. It's nothing to do with them. It's an audience largely of 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old men, usually men. Someone came up with the term graphic novel. These readers latched onto it. They were simply interested in a way that could validate their continued love of Green Lantern or Spider-Man without appearing in some way emotionally subnormal. This is a significant rump on the superhero-addicted, mainstream-addicted audience. I don't think the superhero stands for anything good. It's a rather alarming sign if we've got audiences of adults going to see the Avengers movie and delighting in concepts and characters meant to entertain the 12-year-old boys of the 1950s. Is this someone who is just jealous that his film didn't make over $1 billion and the Avengers did? Well,
it's his opinion.
But do you think he's right though? Someone who's written some very adult comic books, Watchmen, The Killing Jokes, very adult themed things, is he right to then say, well, comic books are crap now because they have a bigger audience?
Well, no one's right to say that.
Yeah.
It's an opinion.
Yeah, of course.
But it is quite difficult. I mean, I suppose I can see a point in it. Especially in this day and age when, it's because comic books since the kind of late 90s, with like the movies and stuff. I mean, with movies, it has kind of changed everyone's perspective on comic books. They are quite a big thing today in the world that we live in. There's a superhero movie every year.
Yeah. Every 5 minutes these days.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing with comic books is it not so much that comic books are changing for that reason? Is it just the way people tell stories in comic books has changed?
Well, I don't know. I mean, each writer is different, and I personally think I kind of agree with it to some extent, but at the same time I can't comment too much because I actually haven't read that many comic books these days. But growing up, when I was about 13 and stuff as well, and even younger, when I did read some comics and that, I did like the stories. I thought the stories actually seemed, from what I gather, not with everything, but a lot of it did seem more adult. Even Spider-Man, for example, many years ago now, but they had themes with Harry and the drug abuse. They had, and this is even before my time, but they had the whole killing of Gwen. And it
was the Green Lantern that did that, wasn't it? Not the Green Lantern. I thought I was being so smart there as well. The Green Goblin that did
no
that.
wonder nobody likes him. It was.
Who then had a child with who got Gwen pregnant as well. Before that, they had an affair. I learned this. Just for you.
Just for me? Who told you?
Kevin Smith.
Did he?
The comic book man.
Oh, he's lying. So...
Yeah.
I think my problem, and it's not just with comic books, it's with a lot of things. Once you kind of get to a certain point, Marvel, for example, have been going for over 60 years. It gets to a point where it becomes hard writing stories.
Yeah, definitely.
There's only. And the thing is as well, because the world is always changing, you've got to fit the comics to fit into the modern world. Obviously Batman is completely different from growing, even the 60s, for example. I mean, it started off quite dark, you used to kill, you had guns and everything. And then it went into more of a campier period with the 60s and stuff, and now is again quite dark. Yeah,
and if you think about, even just how they draw comic books is different now. I mean, because those original Batman ones were very dark. but they were drawn in a way that was quite
yeah.
vibrant.
Well, I mean, even for example, you know, just say take Batman again for example. You know, originally 1939, I think, or 40. Well, first appearance.
Fucking
Why?
Wasn't it? Was it Detective Comics number
Detective
12?
Comics, and so obviously at the time, you know, in the 30s, the world was a very different place.
Oh yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, I hadn't been born yet, so that's pretty significant.
You're a loser. I was. So I mean, obviously, you know, at that time, the way that they would draw stuff, even say like, you know, costumes, you know, the styles of like the way Bruce would used to dress. Obviously, you know, it was a lot more different from the way it is now. So everything, you know, that changes in the world has to reflect in the comics. And because, you know, in this day and age, you know, we have a lot of access, you know, we've got the internet and, you know, stuff and that as well, you know, it becomes difficult, you know, get, well, the thing is, you know, I suppose you could argue it's a good thing. There's a lot more access for comics. The way I see it is, you know, so what if adults have like 30 and so like above, you know, like these comics or whatever. I mean, they grew up with them at one point as well, so why
they
not?
must have some kind of lasting appeal if they still want to read
exactly. And even if, you know, even if like adults of 40 or whatever are just getting into comics now, you know, through movies or then so what, you know, it's a way exactly to the characters.
Where is the one place you wouldn't go if you had a time travel device machine?
Margaret Thatcher's house?
Maybe when she was a bit younger.
Nah, she was always
She just always looked like that.
Will they not go? I'd say that's more difficult.
That is. I guess you can only look at the past for that question because you don't know what's going to happen in the future.
I wouldn't go to. If I was to go, actually no. There's one place I wouldn't go in the future, and that's probably September next year for the referendum.
Oh yeah.
Because if it like turned out like the way that I didn't want it, I'd be probably pissed off, and I'd have a year if I was to come back. I'd have a year to fucking linger on it and be like, "Oh, it's not gonna work. So what's the point?" and stuff like that. So that's one place I wouldn't go.
I think. Where would I not go? Maybe First Contact with aliens. If there was some kind of battle or something like that, probably wouldn't go there.
And not tea.
Well, I'd go back in time, Jeff, and I'd get you some tea. That's what I would do.
Okay. Well, we can actually do that with the power of technology. We can make it seem like that.
Hit rewind on the camera.
Yeah, exactly. In the past, I don't know. I maybe wouldn't go back to. Actually, as much as I kind of would want to see it because it would be interesting, I wouldn't want to go to the Middle Ages. Because no doubt they'd look at me and be like, that guy's different. Let's put him on Spike.
Life would be shit.
Just put me in Iron Maiden.
I tell you where we maybe would go back to Victorian times and that kind of age thing. You know, where there's no fingerprints and stuff like that. I'd just be a mad killer or something.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. Maybe I am Jack the Ripper. I don't know yet.
Oh, maybe I come and like save everyone. I'm like a Victorian Batman. That's how I see
Gaslight.
Gaslight, yeah, exactly. That's how I see it in my head.
We never know. Do you think time travel will be something that... I guess it's that question, if there is time travel, why hasn't there been anyone time travelled here
We don't know
before? And that's a good point, yeah. What if Roswell was someone time travelling from the future?
And then he's wasted it.
That's a good point. But then what if we're in a new universe?
What if with all the what ifs?
That's true. What if time travellers are among us? Well, shit place, I guess, to pick.
Dundee.
But you know, like say a tourist thing, people go back in time to see the past.
It just reminds me of that South Park episode when time travellers come back to get jobs because there's no jobs in the future. Well, I mean, again, what a waste.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be coming back. Well, I suppose obviously it depends, but Nothing really that exciting's happening at the moment. Especially now that I'm talking.
I'm alive, you know. I'm pretty good. Play the Doctor, that's what I would do. Like, go back and get cast, or go forward and get cast. That's what I'm going to do anyway.
Just because you go back in time, there's no, certainty that you would get cast.
That's a good point, yeah.
You'd go back in time and waste it and then be like, yeah, sorry, we've already got someone else.
Yeah, and I couldn't come to casting again. No, what I would do, I would make my time machine look like the TARDIS. And then, I would have so many female companions. Sorted for life.
Would they be good looking?
Hell yeah.
Well, when that happens, Chris, I want you to show me to
I will.
To prove a point.
I will. I'm going to do it right now. Look, if it happens, I'm going to come back to this moment in a TARDIS. Okay.
Yeah, but is there going to be a beautiful woman?
Maybe. Let's just watch and see if a TARDIS appears. I'm going to make one appear digitally. I'm like, yeah! I was going to make you Jeff do this, but you won't know. So feel free to head over to Oneofus.net where you can catch all the other stuff, the podcasts, the articles, all that great stuff. You can head over to the subscription page for this and subscribe. You can comment below if there's anything you want us to talk about or anything like that. And I think that's it. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and until next week, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.